The purpose of this screencast is to help teachers to advocate for themselves during informal and formal observations. One of the biggest problems that our teachers are lacking to understand is the fact that we don't know actually how to share evidence. And so this screencast is going to show teachers what it looks like when a principal has shared evidence and how we as a teacher can also tag that evidence on our informal observations that are gathered, or the evidence that's gathered in our informal observations. So you see that I am at the dashboard, and we're going to go into an informal observation. Now this observation has already taken place, and so I'm going to click on activities, and you see here's the informal observation, and already I can see that my principal has shared something with me because I see something in the status bar. I can go into that informal observation, and what I see, because he shared, this is the evidence he collected in my classroom as he watched me teach. There's the evidence. One of the things principals can do that makes this powerful for both the principal as well as the teacher is they may share that out. And they may send you an email and tell you, when I share this with you, what I want you to do is I want you to go in and look at that evidence and I want you to tag it. 2, they may say, we're going to get together and we're going to look at the evidence and we're going to tag it together. Or they may just tag it themselves and just share it with you. So I'm going to show you an example of, here's the evidence, and if he or she, your principal, your observer, maybe even your mentor, wants you to tag the evidence, you would just go in and you would highlight that evidence. And you would go in and you would look over here and tag it to the rubric. So I'm going to tag that 1C, and I'm going to save that. Okay. Now, as a principal, as a teacher, I need to remember to share that evidence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and make sure that I've shared it. So it would look like this. Evidence is not shared as you tag it. I'm going to click here to share it. Okay. I would go to the next one. I would highlight it. And maybe I think it's 1B. And I would save it. And notice up here at the top in collected evidence, what I see is I see a number, and I want you to look at that number. It says 3, but as I add another tag and click on the rubric, I'm going to save it. That number goes up. No matter whether the principal tags it or I tag it, it goes up every time I hit save. All right. So as teachers, what we need to remember is once this part of the evidence has been shared with us, then we have the capacity to highlight it and come over and tag it to the rubric as evidence by hitting the button in the turquoise rectangle to share the evidence as you tag it. One last place, the second place you'll need to make sure that you share is normally it's going to look like this. So you see the first piece of evidence my principal tagged, but the remainder 4 I tagged myself. I want to make sure my principal sees that and it shows up on the ratings page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I click in the box, or I can say all, and it will share all that evidence. Now I want to show you why that's important and how that helps you to advocate for yourself. If you come over to the ratings page and you go into the ratings page, you see that currently the principal has rated 1A and 1B. And if you click on the far right hand side of the rubric, it pops open. You know that, that's nothing new. But I want to show you, this is where the evidence shows up. So every time you tag an artifact that you've uploaded, every time you have the ability to go in and the principal or the mentor or the instructional facility gives you the capacity to tag the evidence that's collected in the classroom, this is where it resides. So at the end of the process, whether it's the end of the formal observation or it's the end of the informal observation or at the end of the year. When they open that up, they're going to see every time it was rated and where it was rated, and they're going to see the evidence that resides here that helps them to make that determination. So it truly becomes an efficiency tool for you, the teacher, as well as the principal or the observer. So you would look at that, and then you would click in where you think it is. So if you thought it was distinguished, or if you thought it was unsatisfactory, you would click there. You could even add a comment to your principal there. This is unsatisfactory because, and you could go into the rubric and you could highlight that this is why it's unsatisfactory. And then you just add that comment. Okay, so I want to take a look at these two I'd already done in a previous screencast, but I want to show you in 1C. See, there's the evidence that you tagged. As the teacher, it tells you who tagged that evidence. So up here again, I want you to draw that attention. Here's where the teacher, as well as the observer, they both tagged it in the same category. So if we haven't tagged it in the same category, then we have a conversation. So let's look at this next one. Only I've tagged it there. I wonder where my principal tagged it. I could go in and I could actually look. So maybe I think that's proficient based on the evidence. I'm going to look at the evidence. I'm going to come in. I'm going to read my rubric so that I best match the rubric to the evidence and the evidence to the rubric. Now, when you're done as a teacher and you've looked at your evidence and maybe you've had a chance to rate yourself, this helps you to become more useful. This helps you to become more ingrained into the rubric. This builds capacity with you and your understanding. And the more you understand about the rubric, the better you're going to be an advocate for yourself when you have those follow-up meetings after your observations. The last thing you want to do is you want to make sure as the teacher, once you've rated it, you also have the responsibility to share it with the principal. So I'm going to share that. And then I'm going to show you what that looks like over on the principal's side. So allow me a minute to get back into my principal's side. So this is what the principal sees. He clicks into the evaluation or the observation, informal observation. He goes to the ratings and notice he sees, oh, I did 2 and my teacher did 4. So he can go in there and he sees the same thing you do. He sees, oh, she rated herself there and there and there and there. Oh, I wonder why she rated herself there. Let's look at that. And so she didn't necessarily tag it, but she looked at what you tagged and she says, oh no, I'm actually basic in that category. There again, you can, as a teacher, the principal can go in and see that same piece, and they see that they can share their evidence. You can share your evidence in order for us to actually see that. I hope this helps you as a teacher to advocate for yourself. Don't forget that you also want to watch the screencast about uploading and tagging evidence. Those artifacts are the same thing. So if you uploaded an artifact and you tagged it, that evidence too will reside right under that rubric of that particular component. So that makes it way more powerful than in the past when we didn't know how to actually tag that. I hope you find this useful. As always, you can contact us at the co-op if you need further direction. We'd be more than glad to help you in any way. 870-836-1609.